Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. This is a reading for Capricorn moons, or if you just have significant Capricorn placements and are needing a feminine energy to work with or balance within yourself, then this reading is for you. So Capricorn, I've already pulled your cards. We're using like a really different blend of decks today than we normally do, but we're starting off here with the Lady of Cups, which is the Queen of Cups, the Six of Wands, which is really interesting. So what this is talking about to me today is like with this Queen of Cups, it looks like she's kind of like almost like it was looking like a museum or something like that, where there's like something invisible, right? Like something that's not being seen. And with the Six of Wands, I see this one as sort of like identifying an energy that is perhaps been deceptive or something like that. So I feel like the context of your reading today is talking about identifying some sort of like unseen or hidden and perhaps deceptive in terms of the fact like it's like not seen by you, not that it's like intentionally deceptive, but it's like there's some sort of like unseen influence within your environment that I feel like you will actually be walking away from, is kind of how this is feeling. Because you have here the moon next, which I always find interesting when this one comes out, because it talks about sort of like a turbulent, perhaps emotional experience, which is interesting because all of your cards feel very sort of like accepting of the fact that you may need to walk away from something. So that's sort of what I'm getting overall with your reading today. But you have here the Wise Fox, which I find to be such an interesting card, because this is the Death card. So it's talking about an ending. And what's interesting here is I'm seeing you as this figure. And with that, the skeleton, I feel like your attention is being drawn towards whatever this energy is, the skeleton. Something that's perhaps has already come to an end, but you're still sort of focused on the dynamics of it or something like that. Like your attention is being pulled in the direction of this ending or something like that. But there's other energies here with the fox and this angel who are sort of supporting you in identifying or making sort of the changes necessary in order to clear whatever this skeleton energy is. And then after that, you have the Ace of Wands, which is talking about like a fresh new inspiration or something like that. And I feel like whatever this skeleton energy is, it's actually coming through with this today, where you have the Five of Cups, the Emperor, the Hanged Man, and the Nine of Swords, where it may be talking about some sort of like, because in the first section of your current energy, you have this Father card. So it could be which is the Emperor. So I feel like there's some sort of like structure or authority figure. It could be like an actual father figure of some sort. Or just, if it's not like an actual person, it could be something like an institution or like a school or something that comes with like structure. Could be work. It could be something like that. And I'll get into more of what that is. But I feel like it's already sort of come to an end. But with the Hanged Man, I feel like it's like needing some sort of new perspective, because it's causing some sort of like anxiety. Or with the Lady of Cups, right? It's like something that's like not seen or not in your present environment, but you sense that there is still sort of like an energetic tie or connection that's connecting the two of you with this. So that's like one part of the reading. And then I was also getting, because of the cards that came out here, so you have the Mountain, the Mask, and the Creator. So I feel like the Creator is your energy. This Mountain card came out in yesterday's Virgo reading, which I will post I'll link at the end of this video if you're interested in watching that. But it was talking about somebody at a distance, and that's being emphasized with this Observer card. And you are coming out with the Change of Seasons and the Oh Happy Day. So I feel like for you, Capricorn, your energy feels like very sort of like creative and independent. And it's kind of like you're being distracted by some sort of like ending or some sort of like past energy that's still sort of attached to you in some way, but there's some other energy. There's somebody at a distance, and they could be a Virgo. It doesn't have to be, but in that reading, it was talking about the Virgo as being sort of like at a distance from somebody, wanting to approach, but not doing so because they sense that the other person, which I'm seeing is you, Capricorn, was in some sort, like was dealing with some sort of ending that was preventing them from seeing this person, whoever they are. So I feel like that it's going to come up a little bit, but I feel like the focus of your reading today is wanting to talk about the things that you're trying to create. And if you've been having any sort of like, perhaps difficulty, I'm not so much sensing that. Like, I feel like it's like you're creating something or like doing something, and having to leave behind an energy of like a past structure that is perhaps like holding you back a little bit. So that's just like the context of the reading. So if we get into your energy, we're starting off here with the Castle card. So the Castle I represent as being sort of like a space or an environment, something like a school, because of like Hogwarts is what I associate with castle. So like a place of learning, some place that you go to for comfort, belonging, all of that. But because it's coming through with like the castle, it is sort of like a school, right? Like you're not meant to stay in school forever is kind of how this is coming through. It's a place where you are temporarily in order to gain some sort of information or knowledge or wisdom, and then eventually you graduate and move on. I feel like that's sort of the energy that you're in. You're in this energy of like graduating, if it's like not literally, perhaps, I don't know, but you're in a place of learning and now being sort of like entering the real world or whatever it is. Something like that. And then you have here the Father card, which I already talked about, and the Offering, and then the Eros card. So this Eros card came through in a Pisces reading like a couple weeks ago, where it was like you were being sort of like, you're emerging from whatever this space is as a diamond, which means whatever this castle energy was, it like prepared you for some sort of learning, and it's shaped you and molded you into a more refined version of who you are, is kind of how I'm seeing this. And so with the Father card, it's talking about there could be like a specific other, it doesn't have to be though. It could be like a teacher, right? Especially because it feels like a lot of like learning, or just like something that you've been like trying to improve or something like that. But they're sort of like representing the authority figure or the teacher, the mentor of some sort, who is the one who lives in the castle, right? They're the one who's teaching you to learn all of this, whatever it is. And it's like you're emerging from this space or from this castle as a diamond, as being sort of like a refined, pure form, kind of like the full embodiment of who you are kind of energy. With this Offering, I will come back to. But you have here, so these two cards, My Dear Friend and Like a Bird. So this My Dear Friend card, because you can see that like the father, whoever they are, the mentor, you're a friend perhaps, somebody who's teaching you something. You can see how like your antlers and their antlers have become the same, right? There's some sort of like shared knowledge or teaching that they've imparted onto you that's affected like your growth or whatever it is. Sorry, I'm feeling like very out of breath for this reading. But for this card, I actually was watching a video yesterday where I saw like there was a moose, not the same animal I know, but for the purposes of this reading, it was a moose, and they like shook their head and these antlers just fell off because because antlers do like they do need to like fall off in order to regrow and all of that. And especially with this sort of change of seasons card, I feel like this is you, Capricorn, going through some sort of significant sort of transition or change of seasons, moving on to create something that is like independent and true to you. Because I feel like the thing that you've been learning so far has been sort of like like learning the basics from whoever this my dear friend or the father figure is, or like just learning sort of like the structure, right? Like the basic structure needed in order for you to sort of do your own research is kind of how this is feeling, right? Like you need to know the foundations in order for you to like expand and build upon. So it's like you're shedding some aspect of this structure, the castle, the rules, the foundation, something like that, in order to sort of go free with the like a bird, right? You can like with this energy, something that's very structured and they're just rules is kind of how this is feeling. There are rules that were put in place in order to help you to grow, right? It is sort of like a discipline, a structure, that kind of thing. But with the like a bird, it's much more free. And I feel like there's something about your, the freedom of your movements that is really significant here. And what's interesting is that, well, first of all, I'm gonna go through these cards first. So you have here the Spirit of Cups and then the Master of Secrets. So this is the father energy. It's coming through with Master of Secrets, which is a magician card. And what's interesting about this one is that it is kind of like in a cave or shrouded in some way. And I feel like that's what this reading is wanting to talk about, because I don't know if you are aware of this, is kind of how this is feeling with the skeleton energy. It's like you're perhaps tuned into it, right? Like you're aware of it, but not aware of the fact that in some way it is causing some sort of energetic interference is kind of how I'm putting it. With the Spirit of Cups, I feel like that this is you sort of being in this space of like growing and learning, but there's some aspect here of like needing to be free of whatever this energy is, needing to sort of like expand or shed the antlers or like move through whatever this like energy is. Because I feel like I want to say that it's not necessarily a negative energy, right? Like it's not negative. They're not trying to like sort of keep you or hold you back or like contain you in any way, but there's something here about like, because you've perhaps like adopted some aspect of their thinking or their energy, right? It's kind of just like being stuck in a certain like ideology that this one has or something like that. Like just taking on some sort of thought pattern or behavior that this one or this energy has. It's affected some aspect of your growth and your independence is kind of how this is feeling. Because you do have here the Nine of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles, which is interesting. Because the Nine of Pentacles has been talking a lot about independence, right? Like independence, standing on your own, being apart from a Ten of Pentacles kind of community. And I feel like with the Three of Pentacles coming out next, it's like, I feel like there has been a cooperation between the two of you, right? Like you, again, it's not feeling like a negative sort of imposing kind of structure. It feels like something that you've been working within, right? Like a place that you've been allowed to grow and explore, right? With the castle, it's not haunted. It's not like a negative energy. It's not a place where you feel comfortable, a place of belonging, a place of cooperation and learning. However, the next two cards to come out here are the Bloom and the Lovers card. So this Lovers card is so interesting because it always, I mean, it's such a strange position. But what this is talking to, like, specifically from this deck, the Lovers card comes with this message of, like, there's something interfering with this connection, whatever the Lovers is. So if it's not like another person, it could just be like connecting with something that you love, or something that you want to do, or something that you want to move towards, right? Like some sort of like creation that you're wanting to experience or go in the direction of, right? Like some sort of connection or choice that you're wanting to make. But there's some energy here that's interfering, and I feel like you're not seeing that. There's some sort of like unseen kind of influence, right? With the Three of Pentacles, it's a third energy that's interfering with the connection in some way. I feel like it's not an intentional or a malicious or like it's not like a third party or anything like that. It's more so just like, because you're focused on whatever this learning or teaching or thing is, that belief is somehow impeding on a significant connection or a significant part of your journey that you're needing to experience, is kind of how this is feeling. Okay. And with the Bloom card, I see this card as being like having to put up boundaries. And what's interesting about the hair here, it's like the first card out was with the antlers, right? Shedding that. Once you shed the antlers, your hair is kind of like free, right? It's representing freedom, like a bird. And then having to like almost like impose your own structure on yourself or your own beliefs, which create sort of a boundary. Because this one with the Bloom card I see as being sort of like putting up boundaries between you and other people, protecting your energy from those around you, that kind of thing. So it's like moving from this space, which was perhaps the Three of Pentacles of working together, into separating your energy and doing things your way, is kind of how I'm seeing this Bloom card, right? It's like, instead of following the beliefs or whatever it is that you've been learning from, it's like actually creating like your own theories or your own beliefs or something like that. It's doing it your way, basically. And what's interesting here is that you have three major arcana. So you have the Justice, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Strength. So the Justice and Wheel of Fortune came out in yesterday's reading as being sort of like universal forces, with justice and time, right? Like I was just seeing this as like this, it's time now for you to move forward and be in your own strength, is kind of how this is feeling. And I'm just going to leave it like that. It's time for you to sort of know your own strength, is kind of how this is feeling. Okay, anyways, and then you have here, my home is my castle, and the gardener. And so my home is my castle. It's interesting because I didn't know which oracle deck I was going to use after the archetype. So when this card came out, the castle, I knew I had to use this one because I feel like I knew this card was going to come out. But so it's talking about, this is the castle that you're leaving, and it feels like you are sort of leaving or going in a different direction, or somehow leaving behind this aspect of like the father, the castle, whatever that represents to you. And with the offering card, it's like they are offering something. It kind of feels like, right? It's kind of feeling like a parting gift, or like something about their some part of the castle is going with you, I want to say. I'm not sure exactly what that means. So it could just be like the knowledge that you've gained, right? Like you've gained some sort of knowledge. They could be giving you like a parting gift or something like that. But ultimately it's like you're going off to start your own, perhaps like school, is kind of how it's feeling, right? With these sort of like planting your own school or something like that, or like starting your own thing. If it's like a work thing, right? Like leaving a job because or whatever, like you're starting your own business, right? That kind of energy. It doesn't have to be that exactly. Which I really love this card, though, because it's like you already... It is a very Nine of Pentacles, right? Being very independent, growing your own sort of domain, being sort of a gardener, that kind of thing, which is interesting. Okay, and then you have here the Lady of Swords, which is the Queen of Swords. So you have this Queen of Swords twice. The Queen of Swords has recently been talking to me about putting up clear boundaries, right? Like being very sort of like firm and like speaking or expressing clear delineations between you and another person. And because it's swords, it could be like an idea, right? Like ideas or thoughts, or like, because it's coming through a lot with sort of like knowledge, right? Like you're learning the things that you are, like your belief system, your values, that kind of thing. You could be really separating yourself from like an old or ancient or traditional kind of mindset, it could be, and moving on to, or like trying to figure out your own sort of like school of thought, that kind of thing. And then you have here the Eight of Cups, which is talking about walking away. And then here you have the Seven of Swords. So it's not the traditional, kind of like I mean, I feel like that's part of your reading, just inherently, the fact that there's some sort of like, I want to say like something that you believe in or used to believe in that is no longer serving some aspect of like what it is that you want to be creating, right? And so that belief or that structure could have come from somebody else, whoever they are, like a teacher or something. Because there's all this energy of like the castle and like Hogwarts, Harry Potter. It's kind of like Harry very much like trusted in everything that Dumbledore said, right? Like very trusting, very sort of like just like everything that he believed was because of what Dumbledore sort of taught him. It's kind of how this is feeling. But then by the end of the book, or end of the series, right, like book 6 and book 7, it's like Harry realized that Dumbledore, as much as he was sort of like a master, a teacher, a mentor, a father figure even, there were a lot of things that Dumbledore kept secret from him, right? Like kept secret. There were a lot of things that he, as an adult, I feel like didn't agree with, or didn't agree with how the situation was handled, that kind of thing. So even though it's kind of like this person, or not a person, the institution or the school of thought did benefit you a lot in some way, right? It allowed you to grow. It was a very positive sort of influence. At a certain point, I feel like right now you're at the point where it's no longer serving some aspect of your needs, or it's like interfering with something that you actually do want. And so having to go off on your own, having to like do it your own way, which is what the Seven of Swords is talking about. It's having to like go in a different direction, and that direction I feel like is being made clear to you in this time. So I'm going to end it there, Capricorn. I'm going to move to the extended. The link for that is in the description box below. We're going to talk about what's something else that you need to know about the situation. So you can also find information on personal readings if you're interested in that in the box below. I have other readings if you're interested in checking those out. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.